3, 2, and we're good.
All right. What's going on, everyone? This is the Park Geeks. We are back to discuss Halloween Horror Nights. We look forward to this every year. This is Justin. We got Kurt, Raul, and Daniel.
Hey.
Raul's coming to us via phone, and we have some thoughts about this year's festivities.
Whoa, you all right? We're starting off. We're getting the Halloween spirit with some strange, unexplained noises. I love it.
Yeah, this is as someone who is a fan of horror. I have been to. I love horror films. I have been to several horror cons. I know a few horror actors. So this has always been a big event for Orlando, Florida, and even for other parks, as Kurt's been telling me, they try to get into the Halloween spirit as well. But let's go ahead and get started here. We got the website up. Very interesting setup this year because it seems like there's only 3 houses that are based off of popular IPs and one that's for the Universal Monsters, which don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from these creatures of horror and Universal's legacy of horror, but like, come on, everyone's familiar with the Mummy, the Wolfman, and Dracula. But all we have here is Halloween, Blumhouse, and oddly enough, the R&B singer The Weeknd with the After Hours Nightmare. This is like what was your thoughts on this, guys, when you saw that The Weeknd of all people was having a house dedicated to him this year?
He's starting this, like, as far as like who's speaking first before.
You go first, Raul.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll be honest. I'm not gonna, sugarcoat it. I was skeptical about a Weeknd's house, just because, like, I don't get me wrong, I enjoy his music and everything, but I never saw him. Like, for example, there was a few years ago where there was an Alice Cooper house, and I can understand why he had a house, and especially after I went through the house, like, it was very creepy. It was very fun, especially with his music. But The Weeknd, I never got that vibe. After I actually saw music videos regarding the After Hours album, I can definitely understand why. Because if you watch the music video, specifically of the After Hours album, it tells a story. Yeah, because I think it's from the first song to the last song, it tells a story, and one of them is like him chasing this girl. He's trying to kill her, and then I'm gonna spoil it. The girl chops his head off.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah,
that's fitting.
So after watching a couple of his music videos specifically regarding that album, which is what the house is based off, I can understand why there was like maybe a inspiration to make a horror house. And I actually have a friend who is going to be one of the scare actors for the house, and he's very excited for it. And if he's excited for it, I have some hope that it could be a really great house. I don't know if it could be the house of the year, like Wicked Grove was last year, but I feel like it could be a really great house for overall.
Good Lord. Because that's definitely some information. Now it's something I have to look up, because I honestly thought the reason why they got him is because of his mainstream appeal. Because looking at his monthly listeners on Spotify, this guy has over 76 million monthly listeners. So I thought they just got him for mainstream appeal. But it sounds like what you're telling me, Raul, is that this guy actually does like horror.
Yeah, oh no, he definitely, like, his music video definitely has I would specifically say his ones from After Hours album specifically has a horror feel, because there's this one, even the song Blinding Lights, which most likely you've heard on the radio or on TikTok or any social media, even that music video, even though it feels like a lighter song, it does have a darker tone when you watch the music video, because the music video itself, it's like, I don't know if you ever saw the music video of the returning album of Fall Out Boy, once they return to music, like Save Rock and Roll. If you watch those music videos, it tells like a story from beginning to end. This feels very similar to that. and I enjoyed it. Like, it definitely has a horror feel to it. I'm not gonna say like it scared my pants, but it definitely has a horror feel to it, which I can understand where the creative people took inspiration from and wanted to interpret that into a house.
Interesting. Daniel, are you that familiar with The Weeknd as an artist or his music videos?
Weren't they at the Super Bowl or mentioned? I'm not sure if they were, but if not, I'm not too familiar with them. I'm really out of tune with, unfortunately, with like a lot of the pop culture when it comes to music and trends of that nature. So take my opinion with a grain of salt, but just based on when I'm looking at the house and the video that Universal's kindly posted about preview, I think the premise is actually quite unique. Where it's just a lot of people that has gone through plastic surgery, and then they're on this rampage at some sort of rave where the weekend's taking place. So um, I think that I don't think that's really been done too much before, as far as I'm aware. And the other thing is, I'm also aware that IP houses are kind of a mixed bag. Like generally, people are disappointed by them. So to have something that's out of left field, I think is a very interesting and hopeful take on this house. So I'm excited to go through it. I think this will definitely be one of the highlights I'm looking forward to.
What about
What
you,
about you?
Kurt? What's your take?
Yeah, it's certainly different. Like I felt like Justin said, I think a lot of their motivation was just trying to appeal to the fan base of a popular artist more than anything else. And there's some horror thrown in there too. But it kind of looks like it could be interesting based on the video that Universal posted on the site. We'll see. We'll kind of see what happens. It's really difficult to tell exactly what's going on. But things like the sort of like the demonic hospital and the out of control doctors doing horrific things. I mean, that stuff is obviously turned up in haunted houses elsewhere before. I've seen that. So we're kind of riffing off of that idea, which is not a bad one. I mean, one of my local parks, one of their mazes was sort of based on horrific dentistry.
Oh no!
Sort of
Yeah.
it's like demonic tooth fairies kind of harvesting teeth from unwilling volunteers, kind of thing. And they had like dental offices and equipment strewn with blood, of course, and people screaming and horrible things going on with their teeth. So yeah, so things like that are not too uncommon. So
Okay, sure, why not?
I'm kind of interested to see how.
Yeah, because I don't know much about The Weeknd, but I do know that he had a song called "The Hills Have Eyes," and if anyone out there's a horror buff knows, that is the name of a horror film. There was an original and a remake, which I've seen. I know I've seen at least one of those movies, and it is disturbing. That being said, the song has nothing to do with the movie. It's about being friend zoned. So I'm thinking like, wait, this is the guy you got for Horror Nights? But that's when Raul, like literally, I just found, as soon as Raul mentioned the videos, I thought, okay, maybe this guy does have a thing for it. But it is different. So I have to give it that. Because looking at our next house is Halloween. Now, like I said, I am a horror fan, but I have to admit, I never really got that much into the Halloween franchise. I'm not saying it's bad. Like the first two movies, fantastic. I even like Season of the Witch. I wish they went in that direction. But then like everything after that is like, wait, where are you guys going with this?
Well, yeah.
Do you want to know something funny regarding the Halloween franchise?
Mm-hmm. So, with that said, Kurt, what is it about the Halloween franchise that you like, and what are you hoping to see out of the house?
Well, I guess there's a couple things. First of all, according to the website, they're kind of going back, I think, to the first movie. Is kind of what I'm getting from their description. It says from the very. They keep saying things like from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So they're kind of skipping over the later movies. I think they're focusing on the events of the first movie, which is a good thing.
Yes, very.
That was definitely a good movie. There's of course a downside. This is that the Halloween movie has been done quite a number of times.
How was that one?
At Halloween. Yeah. How many? I mean, how many different ways can you do it? It's always going to be, Michael Myers in the mask with the knife jumping out at you. How many?
Yeah,
How
I
many
mean,
different ways can you do that?
yeah, because it'd be one thing if they did the what was it, the 2019 movie, because at least it's still
2018.
Halloween, but 2018, because that way it's still Halloween, but it's the quote unquote actual sequel that they wanted to do, and that way it's at least something different. But yeah, like they've done Halloween so many times. I'm pretty sure you and I, yeah, I think you and I even did a Halloween house one year together,
Yeah.
Kurt.
I did one last year. I didn't get to Orlando last year, but I did to Universal Hollywood last year. They had a Halloween house.
Mm. But that being said, Daniel, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, this is one of the few houses I did manage to walk through. I think it was 2018's Halloween Horror Nights, and I think that was actually my favorite of the three houses I walked through because I did Walking Dead, I did Krampus, and I did Halloween that year. So the Halloween house, just a lot of the practical effects, like being forced through a narrow hallway, like skimping through all the clothes, and just the claustrophobia of walking through that house, and all the blind spots, and just the dedication to how many people they can find that can play a Michael Myers actor around every corner. I found that to be really impressive and never annoying. Like I think um, there's something about a killer where it's not just pure scream, just mere presence, and that presence got me a couple times, and I appreciated that about that house. And I'm wondering if they're going to take a similar approach because I haven't really seen the original Halloween. I know I should really get on that, but
Yeah, you should.
yeah, I'm only aware of it through just pop culture and playing it through Dead by Daylight, which is a game I frequently play often. So I knew the appeal. And this is another house where I hope it's as good or better than the experience in 2018.
Well, I
Well,
can tell you this
certainly-
much. When you talk about the quote presence, you should know that that mask of his is actually a mask of William Shatner.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
That's
that's actually a William Shatner mask that they basically just kind of got dirtied up and took blackened out the eyes. And yeah, that's so the presence you're scared of is William Shatner.
They just made it pale.
Paler, I should say.
Wow.
But anyway, Raul, your thoughts?
God.
I'm okay. For me, I am a big fan of Halloween because I'll be honest. When I was growing up, I never really watched horror films, and this is gonna be like a. I'm gonna tell you a quick story. The first horror film I thought I actually watched was Scary Movie, not realizing it was a parody movie, and I actually got scared that I didn't watch it, finish the movie and stuff. Before I realized years later that it was a parody, and I felt so dumb for it. And then one of the real horror movies I watched was actually Halloween by John Carpenter, and that actually got besides going to horror nights myself, going into horror films and horror in general. So I'm a big fan of Halloween, even the sequels are not as good.
Hey, bro.
I will say that I'm very interested in seeing how this house goes. Yes?
Yeah,
Hello?
you're. Can you adjust your phone quality a little bit? It's kind of breaking up on my end.
All right. How about now?
That's better. Can you
Okay,
just repeat your
yeah.
point about Halloween again?
Okay.
We got time.
I was just mentioning that I'm a big fan of the Halloween franchise, and so I'm very excited to see this house because the creative people who actually, I'm not going to lie, I am actually mad. They said that interpretation similar to last year's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where you're going to go through the house, but from a different point of view.
Hmm.
So I'm very excited to see how it goes. And I love Michael Myers. I love John Carpenter's movies. So I'm very excited to see how this house goes. I've been through the Halloween 1 house, Halloween 2, and then Halloween 4. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that they did with the Halloween house that Kurt and I went through together was the little homages they had to Halloween 3. Because for those who don't know, when after Halloween 2 happened, the creators of the film or the franchise, they want to take the film in a new direction where every year would be uh, excuse me, would be it, so that it would be an anthology series. So every
Like
following
American
movie,
Horror Story.
yeah. So that's why Halloween 3 was called Season of the Witch, and it's a completely different story. Has no Mike Myers. It's not even really a slasher movie, but it is creepy. However, this pissed off a lot of fans, so they went back and brought Mike Myers, and then we got the franchise what it is today.
Hmm.
So, but people are starting to come around to Halloween 3, and I was glad to see that because I thought it was really an underrated movie. But next on the list, we got what? Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I feel like the mistake with Halloween 3 was calling it Halloween 3. They should have just called it a Halloween story and then just call it something else, because by calling it Halloween 3, people expect what?
Yeah.
Michael Myers. So it's like, if
Yeah.
you call like something like Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, the story of, I don't know, like the Boogeyman, I don't know, something like that, you expect to see Freddy Krueger, or even Friday the 13th. You expect to see Jason. So if you have something that's called Halloween, and then specifically 3 after following the second movie, you expect to have Michael Myers. So I can understand a little bit of the fan. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see an anthology series of different like Halloween movies during this time period, as far as like different Halloween movies every 2 years or so. But I can understand why, because you were kind of using the name for marketing purposes, and it kind of backfired on them.
Yeah. That's why if it was like Halloween Season of the Witch, Halloween Rising Moon, whatever. I think Raul's right. If they got rid of the 3, it probably would have been a bit better. But next up on the list, we have The Horrors of Blumhouse, which is a movie studio, for those who don't know. This is our third IP house. It says, step inside a new double feature Blumhouse horror. Your Scream Squad will find yourselves trapped between a frantic frantic teen and ruthless serial killer she swapped bodies with in Freaky. Then you'll try to make a desperate escape from the dark basement of the Grabber before you become his latest victim in the terrifying The Black Phone. Now, Freaky, I believe I've seen. It just seems to be a more gruesome version of Freaky Friday. But The Black Phone, though, I still need to see because it got good reviews, which is surprising. I wasn't expecting that.
It's by the director of the first Doctor Strange movie, Scott Derrickson, if I remember correctly. He also did Exorcist of Emily Rose and a few other horror movies.
No kidding. Huh. But with that being said, let's start with you, Kerr. Are you familiar with Blumhouse or any of their movies?
Not a whole lot, no. I've obviously been through the mazes before they've had in previous years. That's about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think didn't Blumhouse also do The Purge? Oh no, that was Platinum Dunes.
No, they did The Purge.
Oh, they did?
Yes, yeah, they produced it with Platinum Dunes.
Yeah, because their motto is low budget, high concept. So they try to do things that can be done like within the scope of reality, and then obviously give it a horror twist. But that being said, because you're not familiar with these movies, Kurt, are you like really? Do you really not have any opinions on this house?
Well, I've seen what they've done before. I mean, I think it'll be good if they do the usual jump scares and stuff. That's fine with me. Yeah. Something interesting to look at.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about you, Daniel? Are you familiar with these movies?
I did not watch any of them, but I am familiar. I saw the trailer for The Black Phone, and I think that premise was pretty cool. And just looking briefly through Freaky over here, and it's classified as a comedy horror, so I'm not sure if it'd be a house that wanted to delve into that a bit more, or just go straight jump scare horror and just kind of really mess with your senses. If it's going to deal with 2 killers and 2 franchises, like how is that going to work out? Because I've looked at some video run-throughs, and either they're trying to tell a story where they both fit in, or you're just kind of being bounced around. Like I know, like in the Alien vs Predator house, you had Alien on one side, Predator on the other side, and it will jump scare you at the same time, and you see themes from both. So I'm very curious how they're going to pull this off with a house like this. Like how seamless will it be? How much one side will be balanced with the other, and will it be a house that'll dial in more on the creepy or more on the comedy aspect of it? I don't know.
Mhm.
So I'm excited for it. I think it'll be a cool experience.
Yeah, yeah. Vince Vaughn was in that movie, and to be honest, I always kind of thought he was ideal for horror because when he just does his blank stare, he looks like a serial killer. Like I actually got why they chose him for the quote unquote remake of Psycho. The guy looks like a killer. Okay, he just says like yeah, this guy was supposed to be a horror star. All right, now moving on, we got
Wait,
the
wait.
Universal.
I didn't get my take.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Go roll.
oh, I am so sorry. Yeah, please, Raul. I am so sorry, man.
No, no, you're good. Because I was like, wait, what? Okay, so really quick, I just want to say mainly, I've been through the other Blumhouse houses, and I can say straight out, they're going to try in a way to try to tell the story of each movie. Because the last Blumhouse was telling, if I'm not mistaken, they were trying to tell us the story of the Purge, like first year, um, Sinister, and there was another Blumhouse like property because like last, I think it was Happy Death Day as well. The thing I will be honest, Happy Death Day, if you've seen the movie, you know it's a Groundhog's Day type of movie where it repeats a day, so on and so on.
Mhm.
So you actually went through the room of where the girl would wake up like 3 or 4 times before you even move on to the next like movie.
So like a time loop
And
thing.
then
Okay.
yeah, it was a time loop because if you've seen the movie, it is a time loop because every time the girl dies, she would wake up in a specific room, and then you will go through like her room where she died, like where she wakes up like 3 times. Other portions of the movie, like a hospital, like parking and other stuff like that, a few times. But it was so well done. Like overall, I would have liked to seen other scenes of the movie, especially since I liked the movie because it was very similar to Freaky because it was a horror comedy, and I feel Freaky's not a lifetime loop movie, so. But if you've seen the Freaky, you know that there's some pretty gruesome kills for that movie. And I was actually surprised how gruesome they got. I knew it was like a Blumhouse R-rated horror movie, but still, I was very surprised how like gory they got. I have not seen Black Phone. I've heard great things
Mhm.
from it. It's on Peacock. I have to like change my subscription from the free version to the paid version so I can see it before I go through the house. But I'm very excited for it. I would it be good? Maybe. I'm not saying that it's gonna be the best or the worst, but I am very interested in seeing how they interpreted both houses, considering one is like a horror comedy and the other one is like a full horror thriller.
Hmm. Yeah, so I definitely I got to make sure that I watch the Black Phone before I go through the house because, like I said, it's got good reviews, and whenever I go through a house that's based off a popular IP or at least one that's based off a movie or a show, I like to get an idea of what I'm stepping into.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious to see that. So up next we have Universal Monsters Legends Collide. If you thought the Universal Monsters was scary, how about 3? Better summon your Scream Squad because you're about to get caught in the middle of an epic battle between the Wolfman, Dracula, and the Mummy. Together for the first time ever, their mission to find the amulet that will break their curse and they'll destroy anyone who gets in their way. Now, for now I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with these characters. I mean, I don't know how many of us have seen the original movies, but we all have a general idea about the Wolfman, Dracula, and the Mummy.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, it sounds like they're trying to turn this into like a three-way battle between them, and we're basically caught in the middle. Kurt, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it kind of sounds like the people going through are going to be the collateral damage, I guess.
Where are the extras? Yes.
So we went from the Mummy roller coaster to this.
Something like that. Yeah. Interesting to see what they're going to do with it. I mean, I hope it's more. I hope elements of the story actually come out, and it actually looks like that what we're doing in the major at least looks like it might matter, as opposed to just being walking through all the time.
Yeah, like spectators. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
being spectators.
Yeah, because I remember they did a Freddy versus Jason house, and they actually alternated between who won the battle. Because in the movie, spoilers, it's Jason. But in the house, it went back and forth between the two. So I like the fact that they did that the winners changed. So if this is what they're doing, I'm hoping they'll do something similar. But anyway, Raul, you were saying something?
Yeah, because in a way, if you look at the original movie, Freddy vs. Jason, technically Jason won, but in a way, Freddy's still alive. So it's kind of weird. Like, it's one of those things. Like, did Jason really win?
He won round one, we'll say, and like 18 years later, we're still waiting for round two.
Actually, fun fact about round two: there's a comic book called Ash versus Jason versus Freddy, which was supposed to be a sequel movie, but because they couldn't figure out the rights or the story, the movie was never made. But they made a comic book out of it.
Yeah, I guess it's something at least. But
I'm very
anyway,
excited for the house.
yeah, please tell us. Tell us what you think, man.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Universal Classic Monsters. Like I mentioned, I wasn't a big horror film until later. I would say my teenage years. Then I got into watching the classic monsters that Universal helped create. And funny enough, it was the first cinematic universe, especially with the House of Frankenstein and then the House of Dracula films, and even the Abbott and Costello films were in a way a cinematic world within the Universal monster movies. So I got to see Dracula, Frankenstein, and all these classic monsters, see the makeup they used and everything. So I'm very excited because I know this is going to be a different interpretation, and I love seeing like versus battles in a way. So I'm very excited to see how we're going to be brought into the world of the monsters, and we might be a victim to it.
Okay.
All right, Daniel, what are your thoughts?
So this will definitely make up for the fact that I missed the. I'm going to bring up again Alien vs Predator house that was here. I think the concept is actually really cool. And especially hyping up the whole love for classic monsters that we're going to have in Epic Universe. Like seeing a bit of that now and seeing how they could translate in the future is really exciting. Even though I haven't really, seen the classics. I mean, I have seen movies involving these creatures. I mean, obviously The Mummy with Brandon Fraser. You have The Wolfman, and a lot of properties, and Dracula, of course. So, I like. I can't wait. I think out of the four houses, probably the one I'm most familiar with. And we'll see. Like I think I just hope it's easy to follow. Like it's not you blink and you miss it. Like you're able to catch everything you want to catch. To make the walkthrough worth it.
And Kurt, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I pretty much already said one, at the beginning, so don't have too much to add.
All right. So anyway, moving on to the next one.
Yeah.
And that's it for when it comes to the IP houses. The rest of this is all original, and there's actually. I guess you could say this debate amongst Horror Night fans between the crowd who prefers the popular IPs and the crowd that prefers the original houses. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at these. The first one here is...
Before we start looking at the original houses, can I do a quick...
A quick what?
Sure, go ahead.
Sorry, what?
What, Rob? A quick what,
Raul? A quick take.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Please.
I've been going to Horror Nights since 2009 myself, and I've actually looked up YouTube documentaries about the history of Horror Nights, and I've noticed that, especially as I've got popular horror nights later on during the years. They added more IP houses. There was one year I remember that I went. There was like almost felt like the majority was IP houses. I remember there was like Silent Hill, Cabin in the Woods, Walking Dead, and a bunch of other like houses based on TVs and movies, and then like 3 or 4 originals. So this year being majority originals and then a few IP houses, I kind of like because like you get a chance to tell original stories in original houses, similar to how I always love to see original movies and original TV ideas, even if it's based on original like stories told from before. So I'm very interested in seeing some of these original houses because in previous years, some people ironically have criticized them for trying to rely too much on IP houses. So it's very interesting seeing some of the people saying, "Oh, there's so many original houses. I wanted Stranger Things. Oh, I wanted this."
Yeah.
I'm like, be happy first that you have Horror Nights because last year was the year that we were able to get Horror Nights back. And if we look to overseas, I believe it was Beijing or Shanghai that was able to actually get their Horror Nights back after 3 years because of COVID.
So it's a big year overall. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, so would I, for example, love to see Stranger Things or so many other horror movies? Of course, but I'm gonna be happy because I have original houses because I always love to see how the creative team takes original stories and try to make into houses, whether they're good or bad. That will be up to once we go through the houses, but at least they're trying to do something original.
I suppose, because you could. I've only been to like maybe 3 or 5, no, at least more than 3, like maybe 5 Halloween Horror Nights, maybe a bit more. And I will say, when you have houses based off popular IPs, yeah, I'm definitely more familiar with those. It's what I know. And as I said prior, I didn't realize that all these other original IP houses had stories to them. No idea. I figured they were just there. So, with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the first one here. Spirits of the Coven. A coven of beautiful flapper witches. What the heck is a flapper witch?
It's in the 1920s in a way, so they're flapper.
Leave it to Raul to know that. A coven of beautiful flapper witches will lure you into their 1920s speakeasy, reveal their haggish true form, and turn your scream squad into witches brew. They'll be crackling, you'll be screaming. Okay, so Kurt, let's start with you. Any thoughts on that brief description?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, you start out with beautiful flapper witches. You kind of got to wonder if there's going to be a comedy twist to this or not. It seems a little silly, but like these houses in general, I don't mind the original ones at all. I mean, Universal. I mean, I go to a lot of Halloween events, and Universal is pretty much the only one where you see, other licensed IP. Every other Halloween event you go to, everything is original.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
They don't go, they usually don't have the budget to go license anything, so they come up with all the stuff themselves. So I'm kind of more used to the original stuff than I am to the licensed stuff. So it kind of at the end of the day, it all depends with the execution. So sometimes they're really good and sometimes they suck. I can't remember the name of one I saw at Universal years ago. It kind of took place in like a old mission or something. I can't really remember what it was, but it was really good, and I really liked those. It was my favorite. It was an original house. And it was my favorite one of that year event. But then other ones, I've seen licensed ones that just kind of left me kind of okay, that was kind of okay. Didn't really do anything for me. But then I've seen other original houses that just suck too. So it's really hard to say going into, because like some of them look good on paper, and then you go through it and it says, okay, that they didn't really execute that very well, did they? I remember there was one years and years ago. It was supposed to be, can't remember the name of it. It was kind of like zombies on a train kind of thing. I don't really remember.
I remember the one you're talking about. I think it was like,
yeah,
not devil
But yeah,
dogs or army dogs. It was something like that. It was military team.
yeah, it was kind of military. I know some kind of undead thing going on, but you're supposed to be going through train cars, and on the surface, on paper, it sounds good because you're on a moving train, so you can't get off. So you got that element, and to add to the atmosphere. But then, and these things are happening in a very confined space. But you go through the house, and none of that really was apparent. It's just the usual rooms, and for some reason, you're making turns. Like you're supposed to be on a moving train, and you can't be making turns. You can't be making right anywhere on a moving train. Train cars don't work that way. They go on. You're in a line. Train cars are in a line.
Yeah.
You have to be going like
Immersion broken.
Can I tell
And
you
they
something funny about that, Kurt? Once you finish.
yeah, and the other thing is that they didn't do anything to simulate the motion of the train, which was disappointing. Like there's nothing, there's no rocking. If you had the rooms that were like rocking and moving and vibrating, and you had the kind of like lights, like going by the windows to kind of simulate the movement, that all kind of could have been cool, but they didn't have any of that. So that was a really disappointing one. And that was anyway. So what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say that regarding that house, I think it was called Dogs of War, and it was like after watching, of course, Captain America before Captain America, it was basically like trying to make a super soldier and it going wrong. And the train, I can definitely understand that. Funny enough, the train like house queue was built in the RIP queue of disaster slash where the Beetlejuice area was.
Yeah.
So, you went through the train, of course, and I think that if I remember correctly, the train derailed. So it was something very interesting to see. But it was very fun. But I do agree with you. They could have added like more motion, like you were on the train at first, and then it derailed, and you went off from that. But I'm very interested in seeing the original house for like the. I'm a big fan of witches.
Yeah, well, we'll see what they do with it. It's really hard to tell with these if they're going to be any good because you don't know what the story is, and it really comes down to execution. Because sometimes it can look good on paper and it can suck in execution.
Yeah, if there's one thing I'm hoping that they'll do. Now, I don't know if this really constitutes as flapper witches, but I would like to see one riding a broom in the air, which I'm pretty sure they can find a way to pull off because I can't remember the name of the house, but I think this was the year they had Krampus. Because I remember there was this one house where you walk through. I think it was meant to be like a castle. You're walking down a hallway, and lightning goes off. You see, the light come through the window, and you see what looks like a gargoyle, flying in the air from left to right. I cannot, for the life of me, remember the name of the house, but
that was the year I went. I didn't go to that house though.
There was a house called Scary Tales, which is based off, the fairy tales we know, like, the Rapunzel and all that fun stuff, but like a Grimm Brothers version almost of it. And there was one, and there was at the beginning of the house, there was the Wicked Witch of the East, was it? The West? The Green Witch?
Yeah.
And she actually flew above you for a little bit, but she went back to her cauldron, so it wasn't like a full-on, like she was flying, but she had like a bungee cord to her, so that's where she would fly over to you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Other part, I don't see Universal doing that, but other parks do the bungee cord thing quite a bit. Both I've seen that both here at the local Six Flags. I've seen it at Great America, and I've seen it at Knott's Berry Farm.
Daniel, you got any thoughts on this?
It just seems to me that it might be one of the houses. I think we lost Earl for a bit. But yeah, I'll just say I think this might be one of the houses that seems to be a bit more on the lighter in terms of fear. So I kind of like what I'm looking for in the houses is not just purely the fear factor. I like to see good effects and just a cohesive thing. If I can make sense of what's going on and I can get immersed in whatever world you want to tell me, fine. I think the 1920s is a great era to pull from, and this could be a fun house. Maybe not as scary as the others, but we could be just impressed, laughing, and just having a good time in it, and that's the bottom line. Just we're all having a good
Yep.
time, and we can just kind of keep talking about it afterwards. And just based on the outfits that flappers have worn, I mean, hey, I mean, uh, we can definitely we we can definitely we can definitely enjoy ourselves in a lot of ways. So it'll be a great atmosphere to be a part of.
All right, this next one here is Bugs Eaten Alive. While touring the 1950s home of the future, you'll be surrounded by the slime of bugs everywhere as hordes of many-legged terrors descend upon you and your Scream Squad. You'll be dropping like flies. Now, uh, but I know people have a very common fear with bugs, and I think that's what they're trying to go for in this one.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, I think it's pretty clear, or at least pretty obvious, that they're not trying to go for the mutant bug routes, like a life-size fly is what I'm getting at here. It seems like they're trying to gross you out with just bugs. So, with that being said, Daniel, you have any thoughts on this?
Ooh, this can go a lot of ways. 1950s. The first thing that does pop up is just yeah, just gigantic insects just trying to eat you or just to gross you out. Um, but yeah, it could just be more of a gross out house. I'm not sure if that's sort of like a trope of HHN where instead of fears or humor, they just try and get to the pit of your stomach, be like, oh man, that's disgusting. Like, why am I
Yeah.
looking at this? So maybe it might just be that sort of house. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not sure
I
they'll
think
have
this.
I'm not sure they'll have live bugs in there because I think that'd be a safety hazard. But
No.
they can definitely toy with you. And I tell you what, like that one ride at Epcot or show, the Honey I Shrunk the Audience, like those spiders and stuff like freaked me out as a kid. So
Mm,
we'll see if they'll obviously with more advanced effects and sensations, like what can they simulate, what can they do to trick you that bugs are falling on you or touching you, or where if you're in a narrow space you have to like feel like it's complete darkness. Do you feel slimy stuff on the walls? I think that could
mhm.
be a cool thing to add to the fear and grossness of it.
And Kurt, what say you?
Yeah, I think this is to me. This is looking like it's going to be the gross out maze. I think it's just trying to. I think they're mostly going to try to show you some really gross stuff. Maybe they'll have like bodies with like bugs crawling
Mm,
out of their eyes or out of their mouth and stuff like that. Just kind of
can't go wrong
stuff.
with that.
Yeah, stuff to kind of be revolting. I
Don't eat.
think there may be some giant insects, that kind of pop out at you. I think would not be. I mean, just looking at the artwork there's some fairly large insects being depicted.
Yeah.
So there may be some, there might be a lot of small ones, and there might be a big queen or something that pops out
Mm.
at some point. But yeah, I don't. I think this is mostly a gross out house.
And let's see, if Raul comes back on, we'll be sure to get his takes on these. The next one here is Fiestade Chupacabra. Let's see. Listen to your abuela and beware of the chupacabra. Visit Latin America Village, where the legend of the creature chupacabras is celebrated with a colorful fiesta, and the streets are lined with the crimson blood of tourists like you and your amigos. Now, my friend Evan has some criticisms about this because a chupacabra, or at least the legend, is that he goes after goats, not people.
Yeah.
So, with that said, do you think that's actually a legit criticism? We'll start with you,
um,
Daniel.
Um, I don't see why canon lore will have to get in the way when you're designing a house. I mean, it's a pretty neat concept and lore that people know, so why not make it hunt humans? I mean, a lot of bats, it's like with bats nowadays, a lot of bats don't go after the blood of humans, but hey, we romanticized and made a whole thing with Dracula about it, and like other killer bats. So, I mean, I don't see the problem with it. I think as long as the setup is well done and you feel like we can actually feel the stress of being part of this festival, whether it's we're walking in while it's going on, or we see like I've seen in like some other houses because I've been a part of stuff outside of HDN where you have a scene that's dynamic where it walks in, people are acting normally, and then when you pass a certain threshold, boom, you see body parts flying around, blood and guts spilling everywhere, and just yeah, like I want to see that. Like I want to be taken through that sort of dynamic feel, and I think this is the house to do it in. If we want to feel
Mm-hmm.
like tourists in danger.
Mm-hmm. Kurt, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm kind of getting the vibe that this is really the villagers. Like it says, we're going to a village where they're celebrating. They're like the legend and the colorful fiesta. So the thing that I'm picking up, which could be completely wrong,
Yeah.
but just what I'm getting the vibe from that description is that the villagers are kind of like maybe sacrificing the tourists to keep the chupacabra
Oh,
away or something.
that's
Because
a
it says
That's
that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from that little 2 sentence description there.
mhm.
So it's really the villagers we got to worry about more than anything else.
See, what I got from it was it seemed like you're here at this party and the chupacabra attacks. That's what
yeah.
I got from it.
Can go either way.
Which has been done in horror. But again, with my friends saying that chupacabras are known for attacking goats, not people, uh, I definitely think there's room to take some, we'll say, creative liberties.
Yep.
All right. Next, we have Hell Block Horror. As these monsters escape their prison, there's no escape for you. Enter a prison whose savage inmates are monstrous creatures. If they break free from their cells, it's it's a death sentence for everyone. Okay, I have to say, I thought originally this was going to kind of deal with actual inmates, like people who have done some real horrors. Uh, I think it would have been a bit interesting to go that route, but however, that being said, it's not a big spectacle if you do that because you're just basically looking at deranged people, not monsters. So I guess that makes sense. But that being said, it is interesting to house a horror film in a prison. Matter of fact, The Walking Dead did that for one whole season, if not more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, Kurt, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, it's a prison housing monstrous creatures. That kind of sounds like they're riffing off Cabin in the Woods to me.
Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, was actually a pretty good movie. I gotta give them credit. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, so I'm kind of getting that kind of vibe from it. That's kind of what I'm expecting.
Mm-hmm. Daniel, let's say you.
I'm actually a little for prison settings. This might be in the running for like probably one of this maybe the scariest house. I don't know because even though it's been done many times before, like I've seen footage of it done really well and how the house can actually just screw with you. Like, are they really locked behind there? Are they going to jump out at you? You don't know. I mean, you can go around the corner. You can hear a lot of banging. It might be really loud in there, so it could just be the pure fear factor going on there. We'll just see if it's well lit enough for me to notice what's going on instead of just trying to mess with my senses the other way. So, yeah, it could be cool. It could also freak me out the most of all the houses, but that's just what I'm expecting from it.
Well, one thing that's kind of related, I actually went to, when I was still living in Buffalo, I went to a local haunt, and there's a scene that takes place inside a police precinct, and they have a zombie that's cuffed to a railing. And I had never been through one of these haunted houses before. This was like pre-Halloween Horror Nights for me, and it's made to look like the zombie breaks free and leaps out at you.
Yeah.
And it was so intense that I stood there in pause, like,
That's what I'm kind of worried about too. Like the amount of mind foolery going on because of these expectations. Like they'll think you're safe.
yeah,
They're at a distance, and all of a sudden they're like this close to you. I'm like, oh my god.
yeah. And the thing is that the two scare actors that were in there, they're kind of looking at you like,
Please scream.
It's like you're supposed to run. And they actually checked on me to make sure that I was okay afterwards. I go, guys, you have nothing to be ashamed of. You scared me stiff. Okay, that's your job. Wear that with pride, okay?
There you go.
All right, this next one is Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake. You're dead in the water in a New England fishing village. Undead fishermen emerge from the waves to seek their revenge. You and your Scream Squad have escaped their hooks and in the scare zone. Now they'll reel you in and drag you under. Oh, so this is a scare zone, is it?
No,
No,
it's a house.
it's
Okay.
a house.
Now I will say, I think we'll do my computer. All right. Raul's trying to come back on. The idea of horror in the water, I think, is actually a big untapped environment for horror. I remember they had something like this as a scare zone, and there is definitely something creepy about the water. Because for one thing, you're no longer at the top of the food chain when you're in the water,
Mm-hmm.
and not to mention when they did a scare zone that was based off something like this, it was really creative seeing them get all what to do with all the barnacles and giving people water damage. So this one, I'm really curious to see. Kurt, let's say you.
Yeah, we'll see what they do with it. I mean, last couple of years, Knott's Berry Farm has had one kind of along these lines, kind of like sea monsters and stuff. You're kind of walking through a maze that's kind of on the shore or sort of underwater. They use kind of they use one of those laser effects to kind of simulate a water surface that you're kind of like waist deep in. It's kind of cool. Room full of fog and people, creature costumes jumping out at you, so it's kind of fun. Not sure what to expect beyond that, but
all right, Daniel.
Sea monsters and stuff.
Yeah. Sea monsters can get really freaky. I played through some horror games recently, which kind of featured a lot of these aquatic terrors. If they want to delve into kind of the Eldritch or that sort of creepy fishing village type vibe you see from Lovecraft. But beyond that, I do hope they incorporated some water effects, because I feel like it could be either with unstable flooring, like maybe there's actual water and platforms you walk across, so you have that really dread as you're going by, and maybe holding on to ropes so people don't lose their balance. Maybe some areas where you get wet, because getting wet does freak people out, especially in the dark. It's like, oh my god, what just hit me? I think that'd be fine. Like, let's have a haunted house that gets you kind of drenched, like walking through it. Like, let's get people really freaked out. I think that's within safety guidelines, and that'd be like, what the hell did you just walk through? Like, just go. You'll find out. So I hope they can surprise me with that. I think this could be Dark Horse for one of the most creatively effects and immersion there is. So we'll see.
And not only that, but also I remember there was another haunted house they did that was in a sunken ship, and Kurt, I think you and I even did this one, and the whole or at least a good chunk of the walkthrough was actually at an angle, like you had to simulate the idea of a ship that just kind of crashed there in the ocean, which was actually a good call. I don't think it went throughout the entire house, just because, as you said, Daniel, there's always safety regulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just.
Can't have people tripping and falling and then causing a backup liability. It's a mess.
Okay, last one here. The Descendants of Destruction. Deeper, darker, deadlier. Careful not to leave any of your Scream Squad behind as you descend the subway tunnel of a deserted New York. Ooh. Lurking in the dark and hungry mutants looking to feast on the last remnants of humanity. Okay, subway.
I'm looking forward to this one. This one actually caught me. The original ones. This one I like the best, just because I personally just like the idea of urban exploration in abandoned like subway tunnels and stuff, underground corridors in an abandoned city. That just strikes me as cool. So I'm hopeful from that point of view. This might be good. Again, it all comes down to execution.
Yeah.
I hope they execute this one right. I really love the idea of just exploring underground, urban areas, abandoned stuff. That just seems cool.
Yeah, just because, and also, subways can be creepy as it is, depending on where you are. But let's face it, a lot of these are very dingy and dirty, so you already have that feeling crawling all over your flesh. And of course, it's in New York. And the only thing that would have made this more perfect is if they did it through, if not even just through the queue, but they actually did up during the ride of like Fast and Furious. Like if they actually like reskinned it for this attraction, that would be
Yeah.
epic. I would love to see that.
I hope.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
go, go
I'm
ahead.
I'm hoping that they try to recreate the feeling of urban exploration kind of thing. That's I'm hopeful of that.
Yeah, because I've seen also people who try to like sneak into like say like shut down Disney properties and just get footage like of that. Oh, what's that one water park they had that was like meant to that took place in the country?
River Country. I
River
think.
Country,
There we
yeah.
go. Yeah, like I've seen people like post videos of that of them exploring, and it's actually kind of cool to be honest with you. So if they can take that but give you the chills of horror, this may be a very unique experience.
I would like to hope.
Yeah, forget what I said
Hmm.
about the prison block being potential for Scary House. I think this would be it, especially if they nail the just the mutants, the way they look, the way they surprise you every corner, and just the pure darkness of it. It might be the darkest house just based on its setting. I just hope they do it for its advantage, not just, oh great, now we're just going to absolutely assault your ears, nothing else, and then you're like, I hardly remember any of it, just a bunch of weird stuff going on, and I want to be able to appreciate the set design and what
Yeah.
they plan on doing for this. So, um, I'm fine with being dark. Just don't make it too dark to where it's just like, okay, this is kind of cheap.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be dark. I just want them to recreate the feeling of going underground in subterranean passages and stuff.
Especially in Florida, where you can't go underground.
Well,
Yeah.
you're in New York City, so
Yeah,
there's a,
it's still in Florida. Yeah, you can't dig that deep down here. But anyway, that's it for the houses, and we also have two shows. Now, the first we have here is Halloween Nightmare Fuel Wildfire, which is what took the place of the Bill and Ted show. And Kurt, you miss Bill and Ted, from my understanding.
I really miss Bill and Ted's. I really got a soft spot for that. I mean, it's just so much nostalgia. I mean, I remember the first Halloween Horror Nights I went to. I had no idea what the show was because I didn't know anything about it, and I didn't know what to expect. I had absolutely knowing nothing. I watched this. Oh, this is a hell of a lot of fun. I wasn't expecting all the pop culture humor and the music and the dancing and the stuff, and it was just a hell of a good time. I look forward to it every year. I was really disappointed that they discontinued it. I mean, I don't care how dated the movie is. I don't care how dated the characters is. I don't care how old the actors that they have every year playing the parts get. I just don't care. I just want to continue seeing that humor. It changes every year because there's always new pop culture to make fun of. I thought the thing is I liked about it is that the show, as flimsy as it was, it always had a plot. There was a storyline threaded through. They threaded the storyline through the current events of the past, the silliness of the past year, right? And if you look at the shows since then, there's like nothing. It's just kind of like some people come out and they dance around and they go away and that's it. Are they maybe a little pyro and stuff and then it's just kind of like I haven't seen any shows at Horror Nights that's really engaged me since Bill and Ted's went away.
It's the same show as last year, right? That's what it says on the website.
Really, I thought it said that was a new show.
It said the show that sparked a firestorm last year is ablaze with a new nightmare. So maybe similar set pieces, but a different way they pitch it all together.
Yeah, the best way I can describe Halloween Nightmare Fuel is think of it as a very edgy Cirque du Soleil. There's, as it says, there is pyro, there is dancing, there was actually magic too,
Cool.
which I always felt was a very underutilized element for horror. Like a guy lays down in bed, wakes up, it's a woman. Yeah, and setting things on fire with a very metal soundtrack, which I appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's not Bill and Ted, Kurt, but hopefully this will ignite a spark in you.
We'll see what it is. It's hard to say. I mean, there are other really good shows. Believe it or not, one of my other favorite shows that I saw at a Halloween event was at Great America, one of my local parks. During Halloween for 2 years, they ran a show called Blades of Horror, believe it or not. And it's not the kind of blades you think. It was actually an ice skating show, of all things. Yeah, there's one theater that is suitable. They can set up an ice rink on the stage. It has the capability to retrofit that in, and they do ice shows in there periodically. And this one they did a Halloween ice show, and it had a theme and a storyline. The storyline was that you were in an old haunted theater, and it was like the last night. This is the theater was going to be in operation, was going to get torn down, and the proprietor of the theater was there. He's telling you stories about the ghosts that allegedly haunted the theater, and then they're going to start showing you the movies, which are going to be horror movies, of course. And then sort of like the clips of the horror movies basically play out by performers on the ice and stuff. So they have like Frankenstein and all, all the usual monsters and stuff and zombies, kind of sort of dancing and sort of chasing people, and there'd be the usual, teenagers in distress kind of running away from them and stuff. And then they even had fire effects on the ice, and it was really cool and really creative. And it was just a really fun show. And that I missed that. It was a long time ago. I really missed that show. But yeah, that was kind of. I hope things are like that. There's something that really can kind of capture and be different.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you see a Halloween ice show? Right.
Yeah, you don't. You just don't.
Yeah.
I've seen enough holiday theme ice shows, but that's fitting and different.
Yeah.
If knowing that, I would love to see a scene where they try to run over somebody with their ice skates on. Yeah, here, let me give you the finger. Okay, now let's see. The last show on here is Ghoulish, a Halloween tale. Let's see. On Halloween night, a ghost story becomes reality as you go beyond the grave in a spectacularly spooky show on the Universal Studios Lagoon. Now, I saw. I'm guessing what they're doing is what they did last year with Jack. Basically, they took the lagoon and there he is. There you are, Raul. Don't worry, we'll let you go. We'll let you go back and give you your take on this stuff. But a Ghoulish Tale, what they did last year with Jack was I guess, have these specially built pumps in the lagoon. It would spray up water to create a screen, and they projected a video on it.
Oh yeah, that's like
Jack. Yeah, and that was pretty cool because I had never seen something like that before.
You've never seen Phantasmic?
If I did, it was probably a long time ago.
Wow, where have you been?
Let me Google this. Because maybe I did. Let's see, Phantasmic.
It's like the biggest show at the Disney Studios park.
Yeah, I enjoyed that show quite a lot.
It is my favorite show.
A lot of fireworks, a lot of up close because it's closer, and a lot of great set pieces and projection effects, and the Maleficent dragon that pops out. It's just wonderful.
Okay, I probably just haven't seen it in a long time because this seems familiar, but still, like, that was a very cool effect to see.
Yeah.
The one thing
I hope it's more than that though, because I don't think that's enough. I mean, I've seen shows in the lagoon before. They usually have like the retrospective of movies or something. And it's kind of like it's always been kind of so. So I don't know.
The one thing I would like to see them do is try to incorporate some live elements with this show. Because cool, we got like last year we had Jack up there on the water screens and being projected along the sets behind it. It would have been interesting if you're distracted by all that, then suddenly Jack just grabs some rando from the audience, the spotlight and the camera's on him. It's like, say goodbye, or something like that. But anyway, Raul? What are your thoughts on this show?
I'm very interested because originally, like, the last 2 years was called Marathon of Mayhem, and the year they had it was focusing on some of the, I would say, IP houses like Stranger Things and what was it in 2019? Was it a
Was that
Blumhouse?
was that Jack? Because I know I was just talking
No,
about Jack.
Jack was last year.
Yeah, okay, I got that right then.
But anyways, the year before I had Stranger Things, it was like IP house, like none of the IP houses per se, like it was like split evenly, but it was a really cool show. And then last year, not the best. It still, I thought it was a good show. The 2019 one had better music, better visual. Oh, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, that was the other one. And like a lot of cool elements to the show. So I'm very interested in seeing since they're taking it like telling scary stories in the dark and everything like that. So I'm very interested to see how they take this show. The other show I'm interested in is Nightmare Fuel.
Mm. Now, Daniel, what are you hoping to see out of this? Because I don't think you've ever seen a show like this before.
I have not, so it'll be my first viewing. All I can really base it off is just the actual show they have in the park with all the projection screens and pyrotechnics. So I'm hoping they give it a great lighting, great music, great moments, and if they have some surprise to live actors, great. The only other lagoon show I'm aware of is the one that involves like a lot of jet skis and stuff. Although I don't know how safe that is to operate at night, so I doubt that anything will get anything close to that. But
The
who
jet
knows?
ski show hasn't operated since like close to the 1999, only because it was Miami Vice, and they ran that show only for a few years before they just stopped doing it altogether. And it was very
Yeah, but I think that would be a really cool flavor just to bring back. We'll see. I'm not expecting much from that show. I'm expecting more from the stage show than the lagoon show. But we'll see. Keep my expectations lower for that one.
All right, now let's go back and get Raul's thoughts on the original houses. Raul, what are your thoughts on Spirits of the Coven?
very like comments. I'm very excited because, like I mentioned earlier before, I got off. Um, I love witches. I'm very interested in seeing. I actually have a few friends who are a couple of the witches inside the house. So I'm very interested in seeing how that house goes since it's in the 1920s. Although I've heard mixed things about the costumes, but we'll see about that.
Okay, now your thoughts on Bugs Eaten Alive.
I have two people that I know that say they will not go through the house unless they have very much, let's say, adult encouragement, if you know what I mean. 21 plus people, you know what I mean. That's alcohol. But
Okay
even
then.
then, they will say that they would need someone to push them through, even if they were to go through the house, because of course, as a lot of people may know, at least one person in their life is someone that's afraid of bugs. And I've heard different murmurs, you could say, about not really being scare actors, but being like the areas where they will pop out, just have giant bugs and stuff like that. So it's going to be very interesting seeing the house again. The murmurs I've heard, they're just rumors, so I have no idea whether these are true or not.
Mm-hmm. Now, this one here, the Este Chupacabra. I know you're from Latin America, but does the Chupacabra have any origins, or at least are the people in Puerto Rico have just as much familiarity with that?
In a way, yes. Not as much, I would say, as maybe, like, for example, Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Puerto Rico did, they have her in the sense of the legend of the Chupacabra. Mexico, of course, is that, if correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not gonna, be 100% historian here, but I believe that's where the legend originated from Mexico. Each, like, Latin, like, and other country in South America and stuff will have kind of their version, in a way, of Chupacabra, of just the Chupacabra. But since this is
Now,
gonna be more of a Mexican thing, I'm very excited to see because, for example, I love La Llorona, which was a few years ago as a house. So I'm very interested to see how they take this. Whether it be a scary, scary house, or will it be like a fun, scary kind of house, like a horror comedy kind of.
mm. Now, one thing that our friend Evan pointed out is that chupacabras are known for eating goats, not people. Do you think that's going to put a damper on things?
Not necessarily, because again, this depends on where you wish folklore would follow. Because yes, chupacabra, the name itself means sucking goats. But in a way, I'm pretty sure you can find a way to tell the story of like the chupacabra has finished all the goats, and now it's after new flesh, and that'll be you. Like in a way, you can kind of work your way around it, whether it's actual, if it's true within the folklore, or the history of it, similar to like the Bloody Mary or anything like that. It's more
Oh,
like wait and see.
okay, that makes sense. Now, what about Hell Block Horror?
Very excited for that. Again, I have a few friends who are working in that house as scare actors, and it's very interesting to see because that one is in a cell block. It's similar, you're going into a jailhouse. Very interesting to see how that one, there's rumors and straight out that they're gonna bring up soul people.
Mm-hmm.
That supposedly Eddie, who's Jack's brother, it might make an appearance on this house. Again, it's grain of salt. It's just something I heard within the community of horror night fans. Whether it's true or not, who knows? But we will see.
Now, moving on. This one I'm looking forward to. Dead Man's Pier: Winter's Wake. What are your thoughts on that one?
I'm very excited for that one because there was a scare zone a few years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and they do have a tradition in a way of making specific scare zones into houses later years, or houses into scare zones, similar to how they make Wicked into a scare zone this year. So I'm very happy that this one had a house um, that was able to come true. So I'm very excited for it.
Now, this last one here, Daniel and Kurt were looking forward to Descendants of Destruction. What's your take on that?
Very excited for that one because it reminded me of what's the movie? Escape from Manhattan, Escape from New York, with Russell Crowe.
Mm.
And
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
and I'm very excited for it because it's underground, like crazy people going. So I'm very excited to see how that house goes.
Yeah, what Kurt was saying is that he's hoping that they'll be able to replicate the feel of urban exploring. Let's see here. Moving on. Let's see here. Now, we talked about Ghoulish A Halloween Tale. Raul, oh, we lost him again.
Oh.
Yeah, he's gone.
Okay, well, I guess we'll just move on to the scare zones then. Okay, Horrors of Halloween. The Pumpkin Lord. Oh, let's see here. The Pumpkin Lord, the spirit of Halloween, has taken over this year's event, summoning hordes of finished creatures. Terror has taken roots. I think this was actually a house last year, or because I remember they did something involving a pumpkin horde. But pumpkins are
That's
obviously a staple.
common.
What's that?
It's a pretty common theme for Halloween.
Yeah, it's common, so can't fault that. But what are your takes on the scare zones, Kurt? Like, do you think? Because obviously these scare zones and these houses are not the same thing. They can't be looked at or treated the same way.
Right. Right. Well,
So,
we'll see what they do. They see what they do this one. I mean, it's certainly this one gets done a lot. I mean, my local Six Flags park has a pumpkin creature scare zone like almost every year until they feel like changing it. And Knott's Berry Farm currently has a pumpkin themed house. So it's kind of like it's very familiar territory. I'm not sure what they're going to be doing that's different than what the others have done. I mean, usually it's a combination of people kind of in. They usually do something along the lines of the actors in scarecrow costumes like pumpkin heads is pretty common.
welcome back, Raul.
Yep.
But anyway, Raul, what's your take on Halloween Nightmare Fuel Wildfire? Is it? Do you think it's going to be the same show as last year, or is it different?
I'm very excited for it because I love the cast from last year and the main fire girl Tiana who does the twirls. Like if you saw last year's show, she's coming back with her actual crew. So I'm very excited to see the show, and I love the entire cast. Honestly, like they were all great. So I'm very excited to see how this show goes.
Do you think it's going to be the same show as last year?
Different show. Like they have a new music and everything, and I actually heard them practicing, so it's gonna be a completely different show.
Good. Good. That was one of my
Excellent.
concerns.
Yeah, and Kurt has a very deep love for Bill and Ted, so he has got this like he's got his eye on. I was like, this better be good. I lost Bill and Ted because of you people.
By the way,
Uh,
with the Express Pass, we got priority seating at these shows or not? I don't think we do.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call it priority seating, but you get in first.
Okay, so that
So
works.
they let they let the rip tours in first,
Of course.
then the express, and then the general audience.
Okay, good.
okay, let's see. This next scare zone is Scarecrow, Cursed Soil. At the abandoned farm, scarecrows have risen from the crust of the earth to hunt you and seek revenge. They'll harvest your screams. So basically, this is like that one movie. Oh my god, what's it called? Jeepers Creepers. That's what it sounds like it's trying to be.
Scarecrow's gonna be definitely quite scary. I'm not sure if they're gonna have people kind of pretend they're statues and then come and stalk you, or if they're gonna be walking around with signs or something, or how it'll
Probably,
be
yeah.
set up. Like, are we gonna be walking through some nearby corn stalks nearby, fake ones? Who knows? I don't even know where this is gonna be at. I just know some scare zones like right by San Francisco. Like another one is by the Central Park area. One like towards Production Central, and I'm not sure where the others go, but they're scattered around. All but Potter. Potter's untouched by contract.
However, from what I read, the Death Eaters will be walking around Halloween Horror Nights this year.
Oh, good. I saw them a bit last
Yeah.
year at Islands.
Yeah, that's actually something that I'm looking forward to seeing because while Harry Potter is not horror, dark stuff does happen within the story. So part of me
yeah.
has always been kind of curious to know, like, could Harry Potter do something in the realm of Horror Nights? Because there's potential.
Yeah.
It's obviously
why
not
not?
going to be.
Yeah, they got
Yeah, I mean-
there's really dangerous magical creatures. There's ghosts in the story, so
Yeah, so I'd be curious to see if they would ever do that. I'm not
Yeah.
sure where
Good.
Raoul went to this time. Let's see. Next, we have Sweet Revenge. The sweets from Major Sweets Candy Company have turned children into crazed killers. Lovely. This Halloween's all trick, no treat, and total mayhem.
Oh boy. Are we gonna have
So we
kids
have-
characters now running around?
So we have Killer Candy now, basically.
Well, killer kids that ate the candy.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
sounds like they're just hopped up on sugar.
I actually, ironically, I have many friends working Horror Nights, and I have a friend who's gonna be like a kitty cat. Because it's gonna be like very Halloweeny theme. Because I don't know if you noticed, it's very like old school Halloweeny theme this year. Horror Nights, going back to almost like classic, I would say almost 80s and 90s. You had the festival, the pumpkin festival and all that fun stuff. So it's gonna be very
Okay.
like interesting. It's gonna go almost old school in a way. That's why I like this year because it feels like it's not relying on IP houses. It's going more to things we like about Horror Nights.
Yeah. Let's see. The next one here is Graveyard Deadly Unrest. Now, Graveyard's obviously very big staple in horror. See, on All Hallows Eve, a dark storm descends upon a cemetery and awakens long dead spirits. No one living can escape them. Now, I know it's not going to happen, but I still would love to see something that shows someone rising out of a grave. I want to see that. I mean, obviously you have like props that you see at Spirits of Halloween where someone like some prop like just pops out of a grave.
Yeah.
But I want to see a human being just launch out of one. Which, to be fair, I mean, Kurt, you and I saw that when we went to Hollow Scream at Busch Gardens. We saw people jumping out of bushes because they have those bungee things attached to them.
Nice.
Yeah, which are very effective. They literally just jump out, boo, and then it launches them right back into the bush. Yeah. Like, I love that. Those are great.
Yeah, they're fun.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, and the final one here is Conjure the Dark. In the first All Hallows Eve, an evil sorcerer called Monstrosities
Yeah.
from dark dimensions. Now your blood will fuel them.
What was it called again?
Conjure the Dark, which I think is more about modern witches.
Well, it
In
says
front
first All Hallows
of
Eve, so it's got to be like
Oh,
1600s or something like that, way back in the
okay,
day.
good one.
what
Good
technically
point.
will be the in front of the gift shop of Fast and Furious Supercharged, which would be the exit of the ride.
Yep.
There's
Mhm.
actually like a lot of witches stuff, like a cauldron and like symbols and stuff. Because someone was mentioning, oh, it could be this, it could be this. But when I was looking at it, for some reason my brain went to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness when Wanda sent that creature to go after American Chavez. It
Mhm.
reminded me of like the ruins and everything, like the symbols and everything. So for some reason my brain just automatically thought, oh, it's witches. And I was right once they actually fully announced that that was gonna be related to witches, because it's like, what else has a cauldron and these types of symbols?
Yeah, so that is what's in store for us this year at Halloween Horror Nights. And as Raul pointed out, this is going to be a challenging year for them because they're not relying on a lot of IPs. So this is going to be an interesting experience compared to at least the previous years that I've been there.
Yeah.
Kurt, what are your thoughts on everything that we're getting this year, at least here in Orlando?
Yeah, well, I just hope it's good. This is gonna be my first. This is gonna be my first Halloween horror in Orlando in quite a few years, so I just want it to be good. I personally don't really care if it's licensed IPs or not. You know, I just want it to be good. I'm used to going to a lot of events like at Knott's Berry Farm and stuff that have no licensed IP, and it's great.
Mhm.
They did some really fantastic stuff. So I just want stuff that's fun.
Well said. And we will be giving our thoughts on the festivities and the events, but obviously we won't really be able to film at the park
No.
because it's going to be dark and loud. So perhaps we'll upload some short videos, some short clips, just kind of quickly getting our
Montage.
thoughts out there. We're gonna need
Your
a
it will be
montage.
and as soon as you get into the event, like which will be, I believe, 6:30 when the event starts. Go through most of the scare zones or all the scare zones, because that'll be your best time to get the costumes and the zone itself as far as like to see it. Of course, you can't film in the houses unless you are part of the media crew.
Right.
Because the media crew, specifically during opening night, they will have specific media people. For example, Telemundo or bloggers and stuff, because they want to, of course, promote horror nights. They will allow them to kind of shoot certain portions. Universal will have already talked to them and stuff of what to film and not to film, because they want to leave certain things as a surprise. But at least film so people can like, oh, this is gonna be this. Oh my god, I can't wait! I want to see this house myself, so that they'll buy.
All about
To
that profit bottom line. Yeah.
yeah. But in a way, it works because the people promote and then the event and say, oh, this event is awesome. You should check it out, and these are the reasons why. Universal's not like, oh, you should say these things, because they will be honest about their things. That's why they're invited, because they know they're big horror fans. Because I don't know if you ever guys watch Expedition Everest. A fellow, like I would say, a fellow theme park blogger. He actually was invited for last year's event,
I'm
and
aware of him. Yeah.
he did a fair review in the sense like it felt like you can tell that he wasn't paid off or anything. He gave his genuine opinion, but he was just very happy to be invited to the event as a media person.
Don't you mean Expedition Theme
Okay.
Park?
Yeah, Expedition Theme Park. Sorry, I don't know why I say Expedition Everest.
Yeah, because I do follow him, and he does good content. So I'll just give my closing thoughts. So as the guys already know, this will be my first full Halloween Horror Nights event. For a lot of personal reasons. Yeah, I know. Finally, I lived in my handling how many years? Personal things, family. But anyway, I'm really excited to hang out with you guys. And just experience the whole thing. Shows. I definitely want to try some of the food while we're there. And I got to make the best out of my night. Spurge, plan it appropriately, and we'll do our best. And one lingering thought is because of the quality that goes into these houses, I really hope for promotion that they'll take a theme they want to test out and put it into their upcoming escape room, and that way they can kind of have a more interactive experience with the same level of quality, and then encourage more people to do Horror Nights afterwards. So, just my 2 cents. I love escape rooms. I want there to be more crossover in that department and keep up in the level. Yeah.
Are you guys all planning to go to Horror Nights?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Something I would recommend, if possible, get to the park before the event starts. Go into the stay and scream areas, so that way you can go to wait in a specific area. You know what a most popular house is going to be, so that way you can go directly to the house, do it first thing, get it out of the way, so that way you can do the other houses, and that way it saves you time. That's my recommendation as far as if someone's gone to the event multiple times.
You have to pay $35 for the stay and scream, unfortunately.
Not unless you're a pass holder.
Oh, really? Because
Yeah,
it says Scream Early Ticket. I'm looking on the website.
Yeah, but that's only if you buy just the Horror Night ticket. If you're a pass holder, or for example, employee who works there, you can do the stay and scream area without paying the extra price. I verified that.
Thank you.
So if you
Yes.
are a pass holder, because you're already in the
Yes.
park, it doesn't make sense for you to pay that extra price since you're already in the park.
Yes.
As long as you
Thank
have
you,
a Horror Night
Universal.
ticket.
Thank you.
This
Yeah,
is
I've done it.
That's
I've done it many times.
Go ahead.
No,
Yeah, I've done it many times. It works.
Oh, good. I was worried about that because I'm looking at what I'm going to have to pay because I'm planning on getting Express Pass plus the event because it's going to be worth it. Otherwise, it's not going to be possible for all 10 in one night. I'd just be exhausted the whole day. So, yeah, guys, let's plan that out and let's rock and roll. Let's make September worth it. Awesome. And we'll talk about it afterwards.
And all through October as well.
Maybe for me for October, but I'll let you know that after we finish.
Okay.
All right. And next time on Park Geeks, we're either going to be talking a bit more about Horror Nights, or quite possibly we'll have a construction worker on with us who will talk more about what it takes to actually build a gate-crushing thrill ride, as he likes to put it. So this is all. So from all of us here at Park Geeks, we'll see you next time.
Bye.